Welcome everyone, and it's me, Good Boy Halo, and today we'll be doing what if Deku had Greninja's powers, part 2. And where we left off was, Froppy and, Deku just got accepted into UA, and after the 4 weeks of training, so let's go to a training scene they do before the first day of school. Deku starts throwing shurikens at Froppy, and Froppy dodges swiftly, and she's about to jump onto him, but then he uses a water pulse and hits her to the wall and gets her back up. Okay, so first day of school. Everyone, Izuku struggling to find Class 1A with Froppy. They eventually find it, and Uraraka goes over to Deku and says, "Hey, you're the guy, the weird looking guy." And Izuku is he's a little insulted by that, but he takes the little compliment anyway. And he says, she says, "My name's Ochako Uraraka. What's yours?" And he says, "My name's Izuku," and no last name given because we don't know Froppy's last name, I do not think. Okay, guys, I just realized it would be Izuku Asui, so let's continue with the story. Sorry for that. Okay, and Froppy introduces herself. "Hello, Ochako. I'm Suyu Asui, but you can call me Sue." And they have the little, greet, but then Aizawa, as the little caterpillar sleeping bag he's in, he, curls up into the door and then gets up. And everyone's just staring at him and then he says, if you're just here to make friends, you can leave." And they said, 8 seconds, that won't do. And then he tells everyone to get on their gym uniforms. They're going outside to do a physical exam. And they start off with the usual, they start off with the ball throw. And Izuku, Bakugo's going to go first since he still gets first place with his 80 points. Just ignore that I said Deku got 80 villain points. You didn't hear that. And Bakugo gets his normal 805. And Deku with Greninja's powers, he sizes it up and he throws it with a water pulse full power and gets 890 points. Meters. And everyone starts clapping, and Bakugo's really mad. He's like, "Who do you think you are? I'm the best here. No one can be better than me." And then Aizawa does his tape thing and retracts Bakugo back, and Bakugo is mad at that. Okay, and Izuku and Froppy, they do the same as in the anime, except Izuku does much better because he's more balanced, he's not as scrawny, and he's not hurt with One For All. In this One For All goes to Mirio, by the way. Because I don't want to make Izuku, overpowered like Ash Greninja, but with, times 100. That would be way too overpowered. So, Izuku ends up getting 8th place, with Froppy in 12th, I think. And Momo still gets 1st because she has a really balanced quirk. And Shoto still gets 3rd. And Shoto, he's interested in Izuku, maybe this could be a possible rival. Because he did better than the Explosion Boy, the Pomeranian. Okay, and now, the next period, we go to Onmaitsu. And he says, "Hello, class. Today we'll be doing hero training, and he says there will be 2 sets of teams, one as the villains and the second as the heroes. And then he says, but aside from that, go get your hero costumes that you sent to the support department to design. And then he shows all their designs. I don't know if Izuku would have much different. I can't really name what he would have. Just have like general stuff, I guess. Maybe something else, I don't know. Maybe something like Froppy's, like maybe a suit to protect him. Maybe some like some armored padding. And maybe like the scope like Froppy. It's kind of hard because he doesn't really need it. Anyway, in Team D, it's gonna be Froppy versus one sec, guys. Let me see who they. Okay, guys, I looked it up. It's Shoji and Sato. So just like in the anime, except better, they clap Shoji and Sato. So, Izuku and Froppy are the villains in this, and they go after the bomb, and Shoji and Sato are both protecting the bomb, and Froppy and Deku both have an agile quirk, so they find the room eventually, and they start circling around the room with their speed, and with Greninjas attacks, and that he's been getting better slowly over time. And during the 4 weeks, instead of having water pulse, water shuriken, tackle, and bite, now he has double team, water shuriken, water pulse, and bite. He got rid of tackle. So, when Shoji goes to attack, he sees it's just like an after image, and there becomes multiple Greninjas, aka Dekus, and they keep trying to hit one, and they can't. And eventually, they didn't notice, but Froppy jumps onto the bomb and gets it. And the villain team wins. And for the other fight, whoever's with Bakugo and Ida, I would say they lose, because Ochako lost to Ida, and she got tied. Actually, she might have got tied up, I don't know. So, whoever's with them gets defeated against Bakugo and Ida. So, next is the USJ. So, fast forward like a week, I think. And eventually, there is what they think is a villain attack during lunch. And it's actually just reporters. So when everyone's trying to budge out of the door, Ida tells Deku to throw him with his tongue up to the door frame to get everyone's attention. And Deku throws him at the door frame, and Ida whaps against it. Kinda hurt, but then he gets good balance and then says, "Hey everyone, it's just the reporters. If we are here to be heroes, we should not be scared to fight villains." And they start agreeing, and then they go back in. But the villains got all the information they needed. They know All Might will be there, and Aizawa and 13 at the USJ. So, next week at school, Aizawa, 13, and All Might are going to the USJ, but All Might is late, aka he's just really tired out for using his quirk for too long in school. So when they get to the USJ, 13's explaining what they'll be doing, and about the USJ, what's it called? Unforeseen Simulation Joint. And then they see a purple portal appear in the water fountain. Well, at the water fountain. And Kirishima chimes in, oh, they even have fake villains. And then Shigaraki looks out of the portal, and then all the villains starts coming out. And the portal gets bigger and bigger. And then the Nomu comes out, and then Aizawa says, these are no fake heroes. I mean, villains. Sorry, guys. And he goes down to fight, and all the students are in shock, like, real villains? And it's like their first 3 weeks of school already. Sorry if I said heroes, guys. It's villains. And, okay, so, Shota Aizawa, Eraserhead, is attacking the villains right now. And everything goes about the same until Kurogiri sends Deku and everyone, all the other students, into the portal, into the different zones. And Deku is dropped into the water, which he is really good at since he lives with Froppy and his family. So he's speeding through the water. Then he sees a shark, and he throws a water shuriken at it. And this, like, diverts the shark's attention. He's like, ow, my nose. And then Froppy kicks the shark away. He's like, are you good, bro? Bro? Sorry for that, guys. And they get onto the boat where they see Mineta. And everything goes the same, but when they're escaping that, Deku, he throws them both, and then he takes a leap and gets his tongue onto Mineta's foot, and then Mineta's still throwing purple balls in the water, and none of the water villains can get them, so they get back onto the main area. But when Shigaraki goes to attack Sue, he takes out his new form. He goes Ash Greninja mode. Let's find it. And he pulls out this form out of pure rage and instinct, and he throws his very fast and powerful shuriken at Shigaraki, but the Nomu steps in front of it, and Deku is shocked, and because the Nomu completely tanks the shuriken, which was like a 5% smash of All Might's power. But it'll eventually get stronger when he learns how to control his form, but so far this is just like pure adrenaline for Izuku. And that's when All Might comes bursting through the door, and he does his usual thing, and All Might and the Nomu start fighting, and eventually All Might does his United States smash and throws the Nomu at the building. Well, it was like the power of the United States smash. So that happens, and the villains retreat. Sorry guys. So as they're leaving the USJ, Deku, as Ash Greninja, flops onto the ground from exhaustion, because that form was pure instinct and adrenaline, and he can't control that form yet because it's his most powerful state. So he just flops onto the floor, and no gifts. Sorry guys. That's better. Okay. And next, Aizawa gives the students 1 month off, 1 week off for the UA, to get prepared for the UA Sports Festival. And Froppy and Deku do some training, but Deku is mainly trying to get his Ash Greninja form unlocked so he can use it again, because he knows how powerful it was. Even though it did nothing to the Nomu, it was clear that took everything All Might had to get rid of that Nomu. But it did do a little scratch on the Nomu, so he took that as really good. So after that, the UA Sports Festival starts, and all the students are going in, and then Midnight says the leader of Class 1A to do a speech for an anthem. And Bakugo says, I'm gonna win. He pledges to that. And everyone starts booing him. And everyone's like, you're overconfident jerk and stuff like that. And Baku's just like, shush, nerds. I'm gonna win, and you know that. And then he glares at Deku. And then the Midnight says she get into the starting line for the first event, the race, the obstacle course. And so we start, and as always at the start of it, Shoto does his ice thing, but Deku actually uses this to his advantage because he's a water type, so he just starts like, he uses water pulse, but he puts the water on his feet, and he starts like gliding across the ice, and he's literally right behind Todoroki. And Todoroki stops his ice, and then like he does it again to try and get Deku off his tail, so now he's just throwing, he's moonwalking with ice, and he's shooting like ice blasts at Deku. And Deku is dodging this, but he's also throwing shurikens at him because, well, yeah, they're in the race. And Bakugo's directly behind them, trying to get first place. And that's when eventually they get to the robots. And the robots aren't much of a challenge. And Deku just throws one massive water shuriken at the 0 point that is about to crush him and Todoroki. And he hits the 0 pointer's foot as he's about to put his foot down. And the 0 point flies to the ground. And Greninja Deku gets up and starts like Naruto running on the 0 pointer, and he's in front of Todoroki. So now he's just like gliding across the land with his water, and he's like taking jumps like Bakugo. And that's when they eventually get to the massive hole. And Greninja Deku takes a good leap and then is on the little rope, and then he like does what Sue did and like does the like little climb across it. And now he's a little behind Todoroki, but eventually they get to the minefield. And Greninja Deku has an idea, so when Bakugo, Todoroki, and Greninja Deku are all about to finish the minefield, he throws a water pulse behind him and launching him in front of them, and just like he gets past him and's like flying forward, and then he gets first, Todoroki in second, and Bakugo barely in third, just behind Todoroki, and everyone else gets their same spot. So next is the cavalry battle, and Deku has the same people, but he doesn't have as much of a relationship with Uraraka as he does in the anime. So they're not like as developed best friends. So Uraraka still joins his team, but like before that he recruits Tokoyami and then gets Sue. So Shoji and Mineta won't have Sue on their team. And that's the team. So it'll be Hatsume, Tokoyami, Sue. Actually, no Hatsume. So it's Tokoyami, Sue, Uraraka, and Deku. With the 1,000,000 points and everyone else's points, everyone starts by going for Deku, and he throws a massive water pulse at the ground, which makes everyone start slipping. And Bakugo launches up in the air to try and get their medallions. And Deku just throws like a small water pulse at him, hits him in the face and like blinds him. So what's his name? retracts him back with the tape. And then everything is going fine. Deku, Sue, Uraraka, and Togoyami are evading everyone, and they get one medallion from Todoroki's team when they try and attack, but then Todoroki's team with Ida go really fast. Well, Ida does his recipro burst and zooms past them, and right as Ida's about to get the medallion, Deku puts their smallest medallion for 20 points in his hand, and Ida doesn't see this sudden movement because Deku used double team with that small medallion and gave it to Ida, and Ida gives it to Todoroki, and then Todoroki sees it was 20 points, and he gets really mad and says, Ida, do it again, and then Ida tries to, but he can't, and Ida just does his normal speed form, but everyone can see this coming, and Deku throws a ninja water shuriken, and it cuts off the his engines on his legs. It goes in them, and then the water disperses in them, so it fries the engines. And then eventually time runs out and Deku's team wins. Now onto the 1v1s. So first round, as always, we have Deku versus Shinso. And I'm gonna say Deku doesn't talk to Shinso because I honestly just want Deku to win because I need story. And if he gets caught in this, I don't see a way he gets out of that. So we're gonna say he just doesn't talk. And he just throws a water shuriken, and this hits Shinso, and then he does some other moves, and eventually he hits him out of the ring with a big water pulse. And next is Todoroki versus Deku. And so we start this off, and Todoroki starts off with some ice, and he throws a massive ice pillar against Deku. And Deku, who is barely not touching the crowd, which would also count as being outside, is barely holding onto the ice shard. And then he climbs up it, and then he skates down it, and he throws one massive ice shuriken at Todoroki, and Todoroki barely blocks it, but also being on the edge of the ring. And then Deku's kind of mad because he knows Todoroki has a fire and ice quirk, not just an ice quirk, which is what he's only been showing off, because Aizawa pointed out in the physical exam. So he's like, Todoroki, it's your power. And he does that speech. And Todoroki then lights up with flames as Deku gets excited. And then Todoroki does his ultimate attack. And then Deku, in a brief moment of adrenaline, goes back to that form, the Ash Greninja form. And he throws one massive water shuriken at Todoroki. And this collides with the fire and the ice. And when the struggle ends, Deku, who is barely holding on to one of the leftover ice shards, barely not out of the ring, and Todoroki passed out outside of the ring. And Midnight announces, Deku is the winner. Izuku Midoriya. I'm stupid. Izuku Asui is the winner. And Deku goes on to the final round. And he fights Bakugo, who is as in the anime, done all the same stuff, but in his second round, first or second, well, I'm gonna say Froppy still gets eliminated sometime in the bracket. And in this, Deku goes against what's it called? All right, so Sue would go against Ida, and Ida would actually knock out Sue, and Deku would still end up beating Ida, as in the anime, and then he goes against Bakugo in the final round of the sports festival, and Bakugo starts with an all-out assault, throwing explosion after explosion at Deku, and Deku is just stacking up on double teams as Bakugo can't hit him, and eventually Bakugo gets Superman and he launches himself up in the air, and then he yells, "Howitzer impact!" and then throws himself at Deku, and then Deku throws a giant water shuriken at him, and this knocks Bakugo into the side of the ring, and he's barely not out. And then Bakugo's like, how did I not hit the ground? And how are you not out? And then he sees the water shuriken, disperse into, water on him. And he's like, how dare you? And then he throws a giant explosion the size of the arena. And Deku throws a water pulse, also the size of the arena, at it. And they have, a beam struggle because Bakugo's firing constant explosions at it that are humongous. And this starts hurting his hands. And Deku's throwing water. He's just doing a continuous water pulse. And then he throws one shuriken at it also. And during the beam struggle, Deku throws some big water shurikens up in the air, and then he gets out of the beam struggle, and Bakugo thinks he's winning, and Bakugo thinks Deku is almost out of the ring, and then Deku comes up to the side of him, and then protects himself with water around him, and then he yells, "Ha!" And then he says, "Shuriken Starfall!" And then all of the shurikens start raining down on him, and it cuts him, and then one who comes down diagonal to him, it comes around and eventually hits him in the face, and this knocks him out of the arena. And Midnight then announces, "Izuku Asui is the winner!" And then that is where we ending it off. I hope you guys enjoyed this really popular What If. I don't know how it got so popular, guys. Okay, this is Good Boy Halo, signing off. Bye.
It's blue like the Atlantic, and I'm going down like the Titanic.